Okay, so I am in Mobius in the section 1-3, reading and participation activities, radicals and radical expressions. And someone asked me about participation activity number 13 right here. So it's going to generate a different question for each of you, although it looks like my variables might be the same. But anywho, this is what it gave me. It gave me the square root of 50 x squared y to the ninth z. Now, the 50 is numerical. It's the coefficient. And then behind that, you have all these variables. The way you take the square root of a coefficient is different than the way you take square roots of variables. So I'll start with the coefficient. The square root of 50 is not a perfect square. 49 is a perfect square. The square root of 49 is 7 because 7 squared is 49. But 50 is not. However, I can break the 50 down into two factors. Now, there's a lot of factors that multiply to be 50, and most people think of 5 times 10. But the problem with 5 and 10 is I can't take the square root of 5. I can't take the square root of 10. Neither one of those are perfect squares. So that pair is not helping me. So I'm going to go with 25 times 2. Now you could also write 2 times 25, but I like to put what I call the square rootable number first, because I can take the square root of 25. That's just 5. I cannot take the square root of 2, so the 2 is still stuck underneath the radical. All right, so far I have a 5, and then underneath the radical, I have a 2. That's part of my answer. So now I'm going to go back to the variables, and I'm going to start with the x squared. Now, if you want to take the square root of x squared, that's easy. Square rooting, there's really an invisible 2 right here. Square rooting is the opposite of squaring, so they just cancel each other out. And that just becomes an x, and boom, there you are. Then I've got the y to the ninth. Now, when it comes to exponents, back here on the x, the square root cancels out the square, but you can also think of it as this 2 divides into that 2 one time. So the square root of x squared is really an x to the first. The y to the ninth, however, since this 9 is an odd number, 2 does not divide in there evenly. So you're going to break this down much like we did the 50 with a square rootable exponent, or an exponent that's divisible by 2. So I'm going to break this down to be y to the 8th times y to the 1st. I can take the square root of y to the 8th. The 2 would divide into this 8 4 times, and so out comes a y to the 4th. But I can't take the square root of y to the 1st, so this y is still stuck underneath the radical. And then you're left with the z, and the square root of z, that's just like the square root of y. I can't take the square root of that at all, so that's left under the radical also. So when I come over here to type in my answer, I'm going to type in 5xy, and then I've got to raise that, put an exponent on it, and, oh, sorry, I always forget that they do that in this process here. There we go, got to get rid of that. xy, get up there to the 4th, bring it down, and then I need a radical. There's the square root sign. and then 2YZ. And where's the how did I do? How did I do? Make sure I typed it in. 5xy to the fourth square root of 2yz. And boom, it liked it. There you go. Now you'll notice when I move my mouse here, it says correct answer. It says your answer. See how I typed it? And then correct answer. They put a bunch of asterisks in between everything, and instead of using the square root sign, they used SQRT. You can type it that way too, but to me that's kind of a pain in the butt. So, and the way I got this, I just realized this wasn't here originally, is, whoops, back to the beginning again. Scroll back down. Yeah, right here, there it is again. When I closed out this little symbol here, it says change entry mode, it switched it back. You can see it's 5 asterisk X. I didn't put an asterisk there. I don't know. I click on this little thingy here. It's the sigma. And then I type it in like I would see it mathematically. I personally like doing that, but that's up to you if you want to type it another way. Anyway, I hope that helps.